truly, truly, one of the most remarkable things I've understood from the Lord has to do with the nature of the three patriarchs and how each individual one has a particular life lesson for us that comes in a chronological order, in stages, bringing us into the revelation of the nature of God. So we've spoken about Abraham as the foundation, the father of our faith, who knew God beyond what his mind could understand. Like with a house, the very structure, the foundation, which is invisible. Well, we come to Yitzchak, the second one of the three patriarchs. So, it's pretty unique when we think about it. Abraham took Yitzchak up the mountain. He wasn't a little child. When Abraham bound him and put him on the altar, he didn't have to submit to that. But just as it was amazing that Abraham lifted up the knife, somehow knowing that Yitzchak was going to survive because God had spoken a word, that the inheritance would be transferred to him. So it is amazing that Yitzchak allowed himself to be bound on the altar. He submitted. He trusted. Well, when we continue in Yitzchak's life, and it was time for him to choose a bride, he gave certain instructions to his servant that when he went to this particular place, there would be a woman who would do a certain thing, and by that he would know that this was to be his wife. Without any reference to the nature, the appearance, but he had understood something by his spirit that again he trusted in something he couldn't see, beyond what he could understand, that God was going to direct the choice. Later on, he comes into a situation, it's in Genesis chapter 26, where he comes to these wells that Abraham had dug. And he reopens them, and the local herdsmen come and they argue and say, we want them, they are ours. And we know that Abraham dug them, that they really belonged to Isaac. But Isaac chose not to enter into conflict. Now look at this, how different it is than the way we would tend to approach our lives. We say, this is mine, and I will take this, and I will claim this. Isaac said no. And we can understand something perhaps that's going on inside of him, even as we saw in these other incidents in his life formerly, that he understood the thing that God has given me, there will be no contention. There will be no fight for it. The door that God has opened, no man can close. So he left it. He said, I won't enter into conflict with you. And he proceeded, and he found the third well, which was bigger than the other two. It's called Rechovot, which means very wide. We're understanding the nature of Isaac. It's about submission. It's about yielding. It's about trusting that God is going to bring to you what you need. It's about believing that what God has declared will come to pass and nothing will stop it. And even when we look at the final element, the final act, pretty much in Yitzhak's life, when he goes to pray over his two sons, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob comes, as we know the story, and deceives his father. And Yitzhak speaks over Jacob the blessing that he would have spoken over Esau. And then Esau comes, and Jacob is shocked. And he realizes, Isaac is shocked, and he realizes that he had given the blessing he had to the wrong person. And it wasn't as though he could then decide to give something else of his own nature, what he wanted to give to the one that was his favorite son, Esau, and to give him a blessing. And as we see what happened in the story, Isaac demonstrated that all he could give was what he was given. So here's the picture. The second lesson, the lesson of the life of the second patriarch, is submission. It's trusting in what's been spoken, the word that God has given, and saying, I line up with this word beyond my own feelings, beyond my own thoughts. Knowing God in this way is the second stage. If we take the lives of the patriarchs in a particular progression, is the second stage in our coming into relationship with God as He is.